old traditions basically with Limbs. Lim said he will be in a little while, but we'll have to disconnect to get him back in the chat when he's coming, because he's on his way to his house. So he said that when he gets back he will connect, but that's a bit late. All right.
Well, I'll be here for the next 30 minutes because it's already to 10 here. I'm only still at work. So.
Oh, you're at work?
Yeah, but I can still, when my colleagues call in, I speak to them. That's what I've been doing.
Oh. So you're at work right now then?
Yeah.
Okay.
No worries, I can still talk.
Oh, so what would you like to do then? Because if you're at work, it's going to be crossing the thing, innit?
Well, the thing is that, and once again, we are 1 hour ahead of you guys.
You're 1 hour ahead?
Yes.
Well, it's after 8 at this end. It's 8:30 at this end. So, what time? What time was you were supposed to start then? At your time or my time?
Well, when it started, I wanted us to be free so that people can, at least we can get it off the ground. Subsequently, we have to adjust. That was my plan anyway. Otherwise, it may be better to start it a bit earlier, so that one can, instead of 2 hours, one will make it an hour, as long as we come early. Then we can discuss precisely.
Okay, yeah, but what I'm saying is, that means we got to be starting at 9 o'clock your time then.
Well, that should be 9 o'clock my time. That is what we are starting now.
Oh. So
it's 9:30.
Okay. All right, we've got Lioness. Hello, Lioness, how are you? I don't even know where she is. Where's she gone? Oh. Lioness. Oh, she's gone off. She kind of disappeared for some reason. Oh. Right. Well, we're going to talk a little bit about what's going on. I don't know where she is at the moment. She was there a little while ago. She must have got disconnected. So, Mr. G, I have a question for you. Do you think, in your country, let's talk about is your country on lockdown at the moment?
I mean, my country is the UK.
Yeah, but you're not in England, are you?
Oh, I mean, here in Belgium. No, just like the UK.
Yeah, so you basically, are you on lockdown at the moment? What's the situation over there regarding the lockdown and restrictions and stuff like that?
Lockdown, it's just similar to what we have in the UK.
So you don't have no restrictions at the moment then?
There are some restrictions. You still have to wear your mask.
Well, over here we was told that we don't have to wear the mask.
Oh, well, I think you are much better.
Yeah, over here they're saying that we don't have to wear the mask. So, I don't know how come you guys have to still wear the mask.
Well, the thing is that it's that sometimes there is a peak and then it goes down, and until these things are cleared, then it's difficult. Government makes decisions, and you just have to abide by it.
Okay, all right. Well, because I know, so if we talk too much with the tube thing, they don't really allow you to talk too much about the topic for some reason. If you talk anything about the topic, they seem to lock people off or do something to their thing. So I'm just asking in general, like, what is happening? The situation is people still on lockdown? Are they? Is there still restrictions? Or do you think there's going to be another lockdown?
Well, it's difficult to predict the trajectory of this COVID, but I only believe it when it is stopped. Because for now, there's still all sort of restrictions.
All right, we could get my pen and paper. All right, right. Now, the question I'm going to ask you today, since it's just back to me again. What is freedom? What is freedom? Because what is freedom? Everybody wants to be free, but what is your concept of what freedom is?
Well, basically, freedom is the ability to make decisions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. For example, now you got a thing called, a lot of people have, some of our people is talking about repatriation and compensation, for the atrocities as what's happened to our ancestors. In their eyes, they're fighting for freedom. What is your point of view on this reparation thing? Do you think it's worth fighting for? Do you think it's unnecessary? Do you think we should be grateful for what we got, or do you think we should continually pursue the task of fighting and for reparation?
All one needs to do is to show an example. Go to Rwanda. They're not fighting for reparation. They're just building themselves. And they are a good example to emulate. Yeah, for all sorts of things. Very sadly, one has to be objective that most of these states, even if they are given so much reparation, it comes to nothing. So go to Rwanda and see what they're doing. And then the question is well answered. Which means once you stop asking for arms. You go to Africa, there are billionaires there. What are they doing with the money? So once you didn't bother them, very clearly, there's no need to.
Right. The reason why I asked that, because they're looking for this compensation, Now, this compensation will end up to be like billions of pounds, Now, my question is, although they're fighting for this reparation and compensation, my question is, have they planned what they're going to do with this money? Supposing they was to get it, do they have a structure in place for this money? And do you think they're capable of doing the right thing with this money and not squander it? Or
money is not an issue. What needs to be done is basic planning, which has not been done. So that is a problem. Because if you give them so much, nothing happens. You won't do anything. So I don't know why people are always talking about money. It's not, that has never been a problem.
Yeah, go on, I can hear you.
Hello?
So, a structure.
Hi, Lioness, how you doing? Hello. I can hear her. She just came on a minute ago. Hello.
Hello?
Oh, hi. Can you hear me?
Hi, I can just about hear you faintly.
I don't understand why, because I can hear you clearly. I can definitely hear you clearly. What about now? Same thing? Yeah. I don't know. I can hear you all right. Why don't you just call in on the ordinary number instead of on the WhatsApp? Hi.
Hello?
Yeah, can you call in on the ordinary phone line instead of the WhatsApp?
Okay.
Yeah, because I think that's where the problem is.
Okay.
All right, thank you. Right. Yeah, so I'm just thinking about this whole thing of this reparation. I went to a reparation thing the other day, and they've been doing it every year. So my question is, if they was given this money, if they was given all of this compensation, what exactly are they going to do with it?
Hello?
Oh, you're nice and loud. How are you?
I'm okay, but you're really in the distance. I can't hear you too well.
I don't understand why you can't hear me. I can hear you though.
Okay.
I can hear you nice and clear. Very clear. So I don't understand why. Anyway, this was what happened last week. I couldn't hear you either. Well, I could hear you, but not so clearly. Right. We was waiting for Limbs, and we're talking about certain things. Yeah. Linus. Hi. Oh, please. Again. Hello. You might need to turn your phone up, you know. Alright, can you hear me?
Oh, hello, hi, I can hear you now.
Oh, you might need to turn your phone up then.
I know my phone is on the highest volume.
Okay. Alright. We was waiting for you to come so we can actually start the talking thing. We was talking a little bit about reparation and stuff like that.
Okay, you've gone in the distance again. Before you came, voice is clearer. It's gone away again, far away.
Alright, hold on. Right, can you hear me now?
A little bit, yeah.
A little bit better?
Yeah.
Alright. Right, we was talking a little bit about reparation and thing. Hi Gregory, you there? Can you hear it, Gregory?
Of course, go on.
Alright. Lioness, I'd like to talk, like how you're there now, I'd like to talk and see what your point of view is about the way men treat women. Otherwise, your point of view from where you're coming from and what you've experienced.
Okay, what I've experienced personally,
Yeah.
Or you mean like in general what you see around you, or what?
No, what you've experienced personally.
Okay, in my personal case, it wasn't a good experience. There was like abuse, physical abuse and emotional abuse.
Okay. So, Gregory, you can feel free to ask us some questions in this thing, yeah?
Well,
Okay.
it becomes too personal, whereas I want to be objective.
No, it's not too personal. It's just something that we talk about when we are. It's not too personal. You can ask personal questions. There's other people that goes through these sort of things. We could be talking about anything around the fireside, and anything can come up, unless you know. Anything can come up, but she's been through an experience which may help other women who understand and how to get some strength and encouragement to get out of this situation. Right, but unless you want to put something else to her, it's up to you.
Well, I thought we're going to be discussing generally.
Yeah, general.
To become more like an inquisition when one is discussing something which other people have experienced, particularly women. One has to be very sensitive to the personal suffering they have gone through.
Why be sensitive? Why? Just be plain. You'd have to be sensitive.
Yeah, because it's a personal experience, and it should be respected.
Well,
So
yeah,
discuss it's in public. It's similar to what you have all these people who do psychoanalysis, in which they tear the human personality apart and they can't put it together again.
well,
That is why.
well, one of the reasons why we're talking about this as well, because certain cultures treat their women differently than others.
Yes.
Yeah. So, from her culture, I'd like to make other people aware of how some of the women, not all of them, but some of them, has been treated.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, Lioness, if you'd like to share something that you'd like to share to us that may help.
Okay. Well, what I was going to say is, from what I've learned, when it comes to like abuse, physical, emotional, psychological, financial, any type of abuse, it's not just limited to a certain culture. What I've learned is that it's across all cultures, all societies, and it's just the way some people are, and the way some relationships are, and you get good and bad everywhere. Like you'll get really good experiences in all cultures and really bad and moderate. So it just depends. And also, I mean, another thing I learned is it's not even got to do with the rich and the poor, because you can get someone from a really like middle class culture, and then they can still experience this, or you can get somebody from a working class culture. So it's just abuse is just like everywhere when it happens. It's just the man or the woman, or it could be like abuse could be within families, parents, brothers, sisters, whatever, between friends. So it's just like far and wide. I mean, with my own personal experience, it was just in my marriage, and in other family members. Like, I don't think you're going to be in that situation. I was the type of person who thinks that, walk away from something like that. Why would you be in something like that? I wouldn't put up with something like that, but it's when it happens, it gradually, you're led into it, and it builds up, and you don't even realize an issue that's happening, or there's always excuses for it. There's always some sort of excuse, like the mood, or they're not feeling well, or mental health, or some sort of excuse, and you put it down to that. And then once like you're in that situation, people say, "Oh, why didn't you get out of it? Why haven't you got out of it?" It's just really, really difficult. Everybody has their own reasons, and it's very hard to explain. It could be like children, it could be financial, no support network, no accommodation. It could be your own mental health, your own like mentally you just like not ready to go. It's like very hard, a struggle on you. It's just so many reasons why you just end up leaving it. It could even be the psychological hold that the person has on you. So there's like lots and lots of reasons there why it's so hard.
So,
I mean, some people get out of it eventually, some don't, unfortunately. But you yourself have to be ready. That's what I've learned. It has to come to a stage where you are ready within yourself to be able to do it. Because people around you can tell you so many times, leave, this isn't right. They can tell you about all the red flags, they can tell you everything, but not until you are ready mentally, psychologically, and you're able to do it and you want to do it, can you do it. And I mean, with me, I was in a situation for 26 years before I could leave.
Okay.
And even while I was leaving, it was like quite scary and quite dangerous. So it's not easy thing to do.
Right, but do you think that these men, some of them, like in your case, was the guy aware of what he was doing? Because some people not aware of how they're treating their women, you know, and sometimes people do the wrong things because number one, i.e., fear of being on their own, or it could be control, it could be ego. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Sometimes we don't know. I'm talking from my experience as well, because it took me a little while to learn that how we men really stay sometimes in a relationship, but we don't realize it. You know?
Yeah, I mean, that's what I think. I don't know. It could be that ego. It could be the way they're brought up. It could just be what they believe. It could be society around them, other people around them. I don't know. There's all sorts of reasons why people behave like that, why they do that. It just could be something in their own mind. There's lots of reasons there.
Well, maybe, because maybe it could be the woman abusing the man and he retaliating. Verbally arguing can cause abuse. But look at Gregory. Gregory is arguing. Do you think a woman arguing with a man, and not listening, would that be? Would you class that as a verbal abuse?
These things, first, there must be an attempt to have the right perspective. And the concept of arguments will be understood. For the man and the woman, their activities are complementary. And because activities are complementary, they need to work side by side. So it would be to say, for one, say mine is more important than yours, more important than mine. And the example which may use is that of when you go to watch football, there is the goalkeeper, there are the strikers, there are the defenders, and they form a group. But they walk side by side. The goal scorer or and say, oh, he's more important than the goalkeeper. And so if you do that concept for a while, then it becomes very clear. Of course, there will be areas of friction where there's no clarity. But overall, it is the duty of the man to give provision for the woman to unfold properly. That these things haven't happened only means you have cultures where which have not been well developed. So where one thinks that is more important than the other ones. And again, these have been the problems that which needs to be ironed out. So the idea of abuse will vanish when they know that their roles are complementary. The man will never, ever be able to carry a child. That's very clear. So, all people have come through the woman. Will they be their moms? Will they argue with their moms? So the whole thing is very clear. There's no confusion about it. It's the woman herself silently to educate the man through her behavior. Then the man will look up to the woman with full respect for the idea of all these quarrels and all that will vanish. It takes time to build because everybody loves diamond.
Okay, Lioness.
Yeah.
do you, in your culture, is there a tradition that the way things are set out, how man and women are supposed to interact in a relationship? Is it a set tradition, or is it just the male has all the say and the women don't have the say, or is it 50-50, or how does it go in most cases? Hi. Hello. She was there. I don't know. Oh, she gone. She got disconnected. That question there. She will call back. Yeah, because what it is as well, because I'm bringing it back to the fireside talk where we're going to talk about tradition and family tradition, and is tradition important? You know, we were talking a little bit about it last week, but in relationships, is there a tradition that we have to deal with? Like in your culture, when the country where you come from originally, is there a tradition, Gregory, of how things are laid out between couples, or is it just common sense and people know exactly what to do?
Well, there's always room for adjustment because there's continuous improvement. So the way it was done with our parents and grandparents is different from the way things are done now. Unfortunately, patience is very difficult to come by. So before long, people want to go their ways because they feel they have not been well treated. Lack of patience is one of the problems which causes all sort of misunderstanding.
Right. So, for example, now there is in some cultures, like when people get married, they have to give goats and sheeps and all these things. Explain how that works in certain cultures.
Well, this is in the past, yes. Now, most young ones, because of the stringent financial conditions, they don't even go there. However, those people whose parents have so much can afford to go through such lavish things. But that does not guarantee the happy marriage. So they display for the outside. That's what happens.
So if I was to go to your country and I meet a girl, they're not dealing with old tradition anymore.
It depends on the level of understanding of the lady and how she has placed herself with the parents. So there are some who just don't bother anymore because they want to live their life quietly, they bothered all these razzmatazz.
So do you think this European culture has affected tradition? Have you think it's brainwashed them into wanna being like the Western world?
I think it's wrong to start stressing on the so-called European culture because things are dynamic. There are always the problem is that many are not strong enough within themselves to decide the path they wish to go. So when they come to a place, because they're not strong enough, they easily give in. Very sadly, some people prefer to go naked rather than to dress properly because they want to be like the other people. So there is no firm basis for these things. People just do it because it looks good to do, and you want to look like others. But a lot of these things have a roots in inferiority complex. each personality must try to develop themselves to such an extent that they can stand out, not argue with other people, but be composed, calm.
I'm just, because as I said, I'm just trying to learn. A lot of people, some people over here, they say they want to go back to Africa and live or repatriate to the motherland. Yeah, but the question is, do they know what's involved with this culture shock? And if they do find someone, is the tradition still the same as before? As it changed? You know.
Well, Sapphire has been written in books fixed. So in this age where you have social media, WhatsApp and all of that, you'd be surprised the person in the village has some knowledge about what happened in the so-called West than other people. So people are easily deceived when they think, oh, they go to Africa, they're going to find things the way it has been portrayed in the past. Things are really changing. It's like maybe 30 years ago, you would think Rwanda, the back process. Now go to Rwanda, it's better than some European countries. So I have people who are like as tall as
Because I'm just trying to get a rough idea of the culture thing, because the caller that we talked to, she went into a marriage thinking that it was traditional and all that stuff, but then it changed. Yeah, it changed into something totally different. So as I said, there's some people that think that when you get married you got to still do with old tradition, and some people don't. So I'm just trying to figure out what the situation is nowadays. Has it changed? Has it gone totally different?
things are dynamic, so they're not stuck. And even the one who wishes to get married has to be dynamic. But they should know that marriage is it's a union between two people. And because it's a union between two people, they should manage the challenges they have and not expose themselves. One for the other for one. There is nothing. Of course, there will be challenges. If there were no challenges, then how would you grow strong? But working side by side and hand in hand, many of these challenges can be dealt with. All right. People have their own shortcomings, but that should not hold back whatever they wish to achieve. For if many are, then they so much.
You still there?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, because I just want to learn, as I said, because there's two topics which is kind of mingled up into one. Because as I said, some people want to repatriate, and I'm just trying to figure out that when they go back there, do they think they could just walk into the country and do what they want to do, like over here? You know what I mean? Or is it totally? It's going to be a culture shock. Some people are used to it, some people ain't. I don't know. You know, I really don't.
How somewhere you investigate how things are done in these neighborhoods, and once
Carry on. I can hear you.
once the person is ready, then there will be no problem as to what then happens. But the problem, like I said, has always been that people think everything is static and want to start in that direction. That's not the case.
As I said, because as I said, back to the mix-up with the other lady, she, as I said, she comes from Pakistan. I wanted her to tell you the full story because their culture is totally different, you know. So I'm trying to let people understand the other side of what's going on in the world, not to be pointing the finger, but to make people understand that there's some people that go into marriage and it ends up being something totally different than what they expected, you know. And this is what I'm trying to show the people that can happen. And that's what happened in her case. And instead of her being married into a family so-called background, traditional cultural thing, it turned out being the opposite, you know. So I was just trying to figure out what's it like in when other people in Africa and Ghana and different parts of the world, you know, it can sometimes it can be a little bit hard for some of these women, you know.
Well, let's never forget that generally it has been tough for many of these men in the sense that they've been made to feel as if they are nobody. So it seems to be cultural. And very sadly, the way these things are is such that the woman has no say on, you know, how she should behave. You have good cultures or good traditions, and you have bad traditions. Traditions are one-sided. They only cater for one side, catering for the other side. And one has always used the idea of a football game. You have to guide the needs. Actually, the woman takes more of challenges than the man. Because for someone who wants to bring up children, first has to carry the child, prepare the child, and then the child grows up. Very sadly, in many parts of the world, they are so backwards. Backwards in the sense, common sense has died. Even if they have so much resources at their disposal, but they still lack the self-respect to be able to support the women.
Yeah, but do you think that we expect too much from our children when it comes to marriage? Do we expect them to get it right first time and get the right thing, do this, do that? Some people, you could talk to them all day long and the son will come home and say, oh, they got a girl pregnant, although you talk to them for so many years.
Actually, as I said, marriage is between two people. And parents have nothing to do when it comes to trying to get into a marriage. It's none of their business. But you see, therein lies the problem which you have in many instances. Parents wanting to get involved with something which they have nothing to do.
It's different. Sorry to cut you, Gregory, but when we was growing up, our parents got involved in everything when it came to relationships and stuff like that. In our tradition, back in the day anyway, parents used to be involved. They have to want to meet the girl, know what she's like, know about her parents, and it goes both ways. You know, you couldn't go into a relationship without bringing that person in front of your parents.
Well, as at that time, that was how people lived. But it's in itself, it's very wrong.
Why?
Because which is for there are two people in a marriage, not 10. So when you have the scenario where parents want to start getting involved, that precipitates problems. Of course, there will be challenges. Just as our parents left their parents and went on to experience, which is like a fruit that has matured, dropping from a tree in order to grow and produce more. They themselves must allow their children to go forward and experiment just as they themselves experimented, right? And each one must know what responsibility is. Otherwise, you end up like the so-called king of Saudi Arabia, who doesn't know what responsibility is other than to start chopping people up. So it is very important that parents must hands off. Otherwise, we are breeding, sort of causing confusion in due course. So parents shouldn't get in there at all.
Yeah, but it's sounding a bit like let the children go and make the mistake that they make. It's their life. They can do what they like. That's what it sounds like. What you're saying. I don't know if I'm wrong, but it sounds like you're allowing the children to go out there, and if they make a mistake, they make a mistake. It's got nothing to do with us.
No, what is wrong is not allowing the child, so-called, when the child is under your roof, that personality is protected. When the child has grown up, then you must answer. Are you going to sit with the child in the class? Are you going to sit with the child when he's trying to form a relationship with a woman? Or the parents of the woman, are they going to sit with the daughter while he's trying to form a relationship? These things are very unhealthy. And it's better to allow people to go out there and learn. How many times have you seen a child walking without falling? But the child gets up, learns from it, and moves forward. So it would be totally wrong for parents to just expect they can keep involving themselves in challenges which the child has to face. Otherwise, we do have independent business people, independent footballers. Are they going to play the football in the field with their children?
Yeah, but football is different than a relationship within the family, because I think that even growing up, I feel we should always be involved. Because sometimes men are still children, and sometimes girls are still children, even though they have children, like children having children. Sometimes that's what is happening out there. Children are having children, and for us to sit down and say they've made that move, that's their decision. It's not for us to continually be on the football pitch, because it's their game.
Well, then, as long as many still have that impression that they must be involved with the others when it comes to, then there'll be problems, because you'll end up having children always looking over their shoulders to find out what they must do. So it's not helpful. Allow children to go out there to learn. Of course, they'll make mistakes, no doubt about it, but they will make correction. What is not fault is to hold back, not allowing them to, make those errors, because you are always, being, watching over them. It's unheard of. But again, it's place. And then that is what causes the confusion.
I don't know about sitting down allowing children or watch them, knowing that they're making an error, and still sit by and watch them do something which, although it's their decision, as adults we know that it's wrong.
Well, the problem is that how many children, or how many people do you know that would prefer to have girlfriends, and when they are becoming intimate with their girlfriends, their parents are watching?
You're not literally watching them. You're making sure that they're going in the right way.
Well, the thing is that when they never grow, they will never ever grow. It's such a principle that many are put in place. They must have that possibility of learning. And if one keeps watching over them, then there's likely to be problems.
Well, I see children having children, and they think that they're adults, and even though they have these children, they still got no idea what to do. Yeah.
Well, very soon one will say, "Oh, they don't have any idea what to do," and then many will start going and watching them play with their girlfriends. That again will be catastrophic. So it's not it's not a good scenario which many should be in.
There's many scenarios, G, because the way the world is now, your son could be going out there, meet a nice woman and say, yeah, this woman is for me, and that woman could all be a man, and he won't know.
You are women that you want to produce hothouse plants. The children, so-called, need to be out there to learn. They will now discern. Are you going to be there forever? So this is the thing. The little you can do, you should do. But to continue with looking after the children and suggesting all sort of things will be wrong.
Well, I think while we are around, we're supposed to be in their business.
No.
Yeah, man.
You can't.
If we feel it's going the wrong way, we're supposed to be in their business. Because when I was growing up and I got into my relationship, after a while, I was left to my own devices to just do what I want to do. And in that, I made many, 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 many mistakes that although I was in a relationship, I still think I did need the guidance, a little bit of guidance in what I should be doing. Especially when your first child comes along and you got no idea what to do or how to actually bring up a child. Because it's not that easy. It's not as simple as that. Some people got no idea how hard it is.
Yeah, but the question one should be asking oneself, at what age, does one do all these things? Do you start interfering with them at a very tender age? So the age, of maturity. That's what helps to determine how one may so interfere with children. But one has to be careful so you don't jump in and under the guise you want to protect your children or want to protect your child, and it doesn't allow them to grow. The children won't even allow it. They will rebel against it because they want to be free to make their own decisions. That is the task of the leaders. Not that parents should come sit down there and be observing when they are trying to have a good time with their girlfriends. That would be unhealthy. So that is what really happens in these matters.
I don't know. As I said from my experience as well, as I said, it would have helped, though they'd step back and let you do what you want to do, but in some cases, some it's not to say that I'm not saying that I grew up late. I grew up fast, early, but at the same time, some guys out there that I've realized around me were still children. They were still children. They were coming like they're adults. They're doing, but they're still children. And then they have to grow into being a man when they're in that serious relationship.
One thing one should know doesn't really mean that everyone must get married. Some people might choose not to. Some people might decide to marry early. Some might decide to get married late. But should one get married, the tasks and the responsibilities must be well understood. It is because many want to get something and do not wish to take any responsibility. That is the challenge, and that's the problem.
So, from your own point of view, when you left home and you got in your first relationship, did you feel the need that you should have had some guidance when you left home, or did you think like you wanted to cut and go and you didn't want no guidance from them as far as them, you didn't want them to interfere in your relationship, so to speak?
There were advice. You listen to advice and you choose which one you want to keep. That is always the case. One does not just take everything. Of course, parents will advise you based on how much they know, not how much they do not know. Therefore, you just listen to them because at their time, they face their own challenges. At your own time, you may have different challenges. And therefore, you wish to, take advices for the child, or the personality must go their way before long. You cannot be crushed at and say, oh, you must listen to me. And that will be wrong. You must allow the child to experience. For without experience, how can one mature?
I hear that still, but yeah.
It's like, you know me very well. Imagine your parents will not allow you to experience in different places. Of course, you will still be in the same home, the same village, the same city, the same country. Yet people must move. Deep within them, there's the need for exploration. That must be granted to the personality, just as you had the opportunity to move out. Of course, there were challenges. Not a better, there must be challenges. But at the same time, many will then understand that there is a need to be out there to experience in order to mature. That's the purpose of it all.
Okay. Well, I hear what you're saying. I think I just leave you on that point of the marriage thing. Our caller has kind of gone off again for some reason, so
To stop, because I've been on my desk since 7:30.
Hey there.
yeah, our caller's kind of gone off a little bit still. But as I said, she was one of the one who, when she left home and she got married, or when she got married, she was left to her own devices, and the parents didn't care. When I say they didn't care, they was not involved at all in what's going on with the child, and that's what led to her being abused. Because if the parents were still in her life, I don't think she would have got abused.
Well, don't forget, most of the time in that part of the world, you know how parents who even sound it. They sound it. So, I mean, that's what I'm saying. There's so much discussing these matters. Parents selling their children, not because they want money.
Well, you see, back to the traditional thing, as with my children or with my daughter and all of that, I try to be in their face, in their relationship. I'm involved. I don't care, because I know how some men out there stay, and once they know that or believe that the parents are not involved, that's when the problem starts.
Don't on these children, you think they cannot handle challenges. Of course they can. So just grant them the opportunity, and they will do very well before too long.
No, not in this girl's case. And there was about 4 other girls who were actually in the same situation, that if their parents was involved in their relationship, even when they got married, the parents come and make sure everything's alright. I don't think they would have gone through half the things that they went through. You know, because I've seen that with my family, especially my sisters, and they grew up, they left home, they had children, they got big, but I still got involved. And made sure that my sisters was alright. You know what I mean? And always check on them and make sure everything's okay. Because I know from what I've seen in life that when the family is not around, then the guy dominates the situation. In some cases, the guy dominates the situation. And that's the bit that I didn't really like. You know? Because I knew them things that happen. You know?
Hey!
I know those things happen.
Mm.
And I've seen these things happen for myself. So this is why I made sure that it didn't happen to my sisters.
Well, this it's almost for some the challenge is for all of them. What happened? They have adjust and see how best they can move on.
I hear that. Well, it's just tradition. As I said, it's different in the UK. Yeah, it's different. I saw I saw a video the other day on YouTube of a man beating his mother, literally kicking her to the ground, his own mum, because she wouldn't allow him to have internet or something like that. I don't know what it was, but all I know that he was literally physically beating his own mother and kicking her to the ground, right? Why? Because he in his own mind thought that nobody ain't gonna come and do anything to him. So apparently the elders of the village, other people of the village, they came when they found out what was going on, and they saw the video on Facebook of this young man beating and kicking his African mother on the ground, literally dragging her like a dog across the ground. And these guys, they came and they disciplined this youth. They gave him some beating. They tied him to a tree and they gave him some beating live on the internet. Now, if this boy did know that this woman still had protection from her family and her family was intervening, he would have never even think about disrespecting his mother.
Correct. But one thing to be very clear, that it is society that has gone all. And you would have thought a case like Africa, that will not happen. But it does happen. It's going to show that what you call villages now are no more village. That are only the function. What is happening in order, and it's best to sort of see. Once you not just imagine that, oh, because this is Africa and things don't happen. Most of these young ones, they have access to all the things you have access to. So that's how they need to live their lives. So, yes, it is terrible, but we can do it. All right, it is true that others do come and try to, help in this areas. But there is very little many others can do. Very, very little.
Well, I just wanted to share that with you because, as you said, you said the point where you said to let them go and do their own thing.
No,
But I still think we should always keep an eye on them.
even whatever the society is, you have to follow the rules. You have to, like we keep saying, one for one. All right? Personality must learn that. All right? That a child that beats the mother only goes to feel that that particular child is lost. And the question one would ask, where are the other parents? That's a question which one should ask. So, yeah, I really want to, because there are many other things which one can discuss along that line.
So that means your children are well groomed then, from what you're saying to me then.
Not really. What one has to do with one's children to show them examples of fairness, of respect, of self-respect, of hard work. Whether they're able to follow or not is a story. Once you've done that, your task is done. There's no other thing you need to do. Because they wouldn't know how to If they wish to live in harmony with other people, they know the rules of the game. These things are not taught, but they should know that if they have to they will support society, then they themselves must contribute to that society. This is, you can't say, oh, I don't care, I will go for holiday. If there's a fire in your house, it will burn down. If you live in harmony with your neighbors, when they have challenge, you go, you support them, you find work. It doesn't take much time. When your challenge will come, they themselves will do the same thing. It's not rocket science. It's just, oh, you have neighbors. Otherwise, why are people? But no, the problem with the so-called Western world is that they wish to stand alone. When there's a challenge, then they start wanting to be friends. That's not how it goes. These are long-term things.
All right. So, what advice would you give to the young lady who's in that abusive relationship? What advice would, well, she was in it, but what advice would you give her,
I will have to reflect very carefully. That's why I really want, because I know it's still very sensitive, the lives of her, because of what she has gone through. So, yeah, the advice is going to be very simple, and we'll discuss it later. Time is running out now. It's 10:36. I just need to leave and say till tomorrow.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Okay, so we're finished for today.
All right, good. Yes.
Well, I okay because we're an hour behind you, so it's kind of causing a little confusion here. But thank you for your talk. Yeah, I hope it helps somebody. Next week I will definitely get a topic different towards this one. But yeah, it was interesting. Still, yeah. So yes, thank you for the reasoning.
Okay.
And we will talk next week. So sorry for keeping you so late, but I just had to ask these questions. All right. So thank you very much, Brother G.
All right. Yeah, I won't forget something very soon.
Okay.
Okay.
Don't worry with that. Next week we're gonna talk about I don't know, maybe we might talk a bit about the African culture or something.
Okay.
Yeah, and some other traditional stuff.
Okay.
Yeah, but if you've got anything you'd like to talk about, just text it in to me.
Okay.
Yeah, before the day before, so I can do some research on whatever you're gonna send me. Okay.
All right.
Thank you very much, G.
Okay.
All right. So people, that was Fireside Reasoning, and we're slowly getting things together. This is the second show in the making. We're getting things together slowly but surely, and we're getting the groups together and the sisters. We had a little technical problem on the phone with the sister. That's the second time she had a problem with her, but I don't know what it is. We just couldn't get her to talk properly on that particular phone. And we will sort out what we need to sort out. Right. So thank you very much for listening.
Thank you very much.
And we'll talk to you same time next week.
Okay then.
Thank you, Brother Gregory.
Bye then.
Bye.